Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. The latest WBC rankings are out and Adam Kownacki and Oscar Rivas are the big winners in this month's update. Well, actually, I shouldn't say it's this month's update, but it's just the latest update. There was an update for this month just about 3 weeks ago. This has come out early and I only happened upon it because I was looking up something for a Joseph Parker video just to see his rankings, and I thought, hang on, he's actually moved down here. And I looked through the rest of the rankings and I thought this has been updated. And perhaps this is related to, you might recall the WBO a few days ago, it put its rankings out early because there was some movement with vacated titles. Gilberto Ramirez moving up to 175, Billy Joe Saunders moving up to 168. Maybe this is related to that with it coming out early, because the WBC generally is the last day or two of the month or the first day of the new month. So it has been a shorter and condensed period until this rankings has come out from the WBC. Maybe it had been up there for a couple of days, I don't know, but for us, it's new. So what we have is a few changes this month, but we'll start at the top there. So Dillian Whyte, who has been the number one rated contender in the WBC, remains at number one. It's going to be really interesting for Dillian Whyte what happens in the next month or two. He's been ordered to face Dominic Breazeale, but there's no guarantees now that that fight happens with the flux with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. That rematch for all money looked like it was going to be made, and made quite easily, but Fury jumping over to ESPN on a co-promotional deal, can only fight on ESPN in the United States. That kind of adds another layer of complexity, and even though Deontay Wilder has said, you know, look, I'm a free agent TV deal-wise, I just don't know if he will end up going to fight on ESPN voluntarily. I can't see his advisor, Al Heyman, who runs the PBC, wanting that to happen. Bob Arum and Al Heyman, not exactly best friends, and having your number one heavyweight in your stable going over to ESPN voluntarily, not sure I can see that happening, but it remains to be seen what will happen. But if Deontay Wilder doesn't face Tyson Fury, if broadcasting issues become an issue or whatever happens, there is potential, because I don't see the WBC stripping him. It could be that Deontay Wilder ends up facing his mandatory challenger, Dominic Breazeale. And Breazeale was only given this interim title shot against Dillian Whyte because Wilder was to be fighting Fury, and there's no guarantees now, so who knows what will happen. Maybe the Whyte and Breazeale fight will go ahead, and perhaps Deontay Wilder will face someone like Adam Kownacki, who will come to very shortly. There's a few balls in the air at the moment, and nothing is guaranteed, nothing is set in stone, and it's a very fluid situation. And I'd like to say something a bit more concrete about it, but it's just all up in the air right now. And Tyson Fury, he is at number 2 in the rankings. As I just went through, you know, who knows what will happen next. Bob Arum, his new promoter, that kind of feels weird saying that, on this co-promotional deal with Queensberry Promotion and Frank Warren. Bob Arum says he has sent an offer to Deontay Wilder. It will be a good offer. And actually, Bob Arum, when he was talking to the Boxing Voice, I heard a clip of this. It was quite interesting because this reported £80 million, which would be just over $100 million US dollars for this deal for Tyson Fury. Arum sort of said, I don't know where people got their figures from, but yes, if everything went to plan, he had all the fights that he was meant to in his multi-year deal, he could make well over $100 million. So he said, you know, I don't know, the $80 million, it's not like it's a guaranteed figure or anything like that. And this is kind of what I had suspected in the opening video about this number, that I wasn't exactly putting a lot of stock into it because, as I mentioned, Elidia Alvarez had a deal with Top Rank. It was a 7-year deal or something like that. And effectively, after his loss to Sergey Kovalev, it was voided. So Tyson Fury, if he keeps winning and he has all the fights on his deal and it ends up being what it's meant to be, it runs its full course, well, he's going to be a very rich man. But there is no guarantees in this game. And who knows if Tyson Fury can stay motivated over several years, especially if he doesn't end up fighting Deontay Wilder again, or if Anthony Joshua, if that fight's not there, because those are the 2 big fights that he says he wants. Anyway, Luis Ortiz is at number 3. He has a fight coming up March the 2nd in New York against Christian Hammer. He is expected to win that. It could be one of those fights where it's a little bit tougher than people think because Hammer is durable. He can kind of spoil a bit. He can, work to survive. He did that against Alexander Povetkin, and many people sort of said after that fight between Hammer and Povetkin at the back end of 2016 that Povetkin was on the slide a bit. So Luis Ortiz may end up having this fight with Christian Hammer and not getting full credit for a win there because people will go, well, he looks old. I think some people will say that regardlessly, but Christian Hammer can play spoiler. Number 4, Dominic Breazeale. As I mentioned, who knows what will happen, but he's going to be fighting either Dillian Whyte or potentially Deontay Wilder. We'll have to see what happens, but he may end up getting the fight that he wants. And at number 5, the guy who's coming into the title mix now is Adam Kownacki, who recently knocked out Gerald Washington in a bit of a statement performance in 2 rounds. It was a horrible performance by Washington, but full credit to Adam Kownacki for that win. And for the people who keep leaving repeated comments saying, say his last name, Kownacki. His name is not Kownacki. That is a mispronunciation. Well and truly. Please don't leave those comments. His name is Adam Kownacki. Number 6, Joseph Parker. He falls 1 spot this month. No fight with Derek Chisora on April 20th. They've pulled the pin on that. No contract, no deal. So they said, look, we're not going to shorten our training camp, even if a contract was to come this week. It's just been too long. You had a month, a deal didn't come. And David Higgins, Joseph Parker's promoter, has sort of said, it was some cowardly tactics from Derek Chisora to try run down Joseph Parker's training camp time. And obviously we're not going to get that fight. It could happen, but potentially at a later date. And they are now talking about a New Zealand-based fight for Parker. But my view is that wouldn't be anyone that we'd want to see, but it remains to be seen what happens next with Joseph Parker. But if it is a New Zealand-based fight and it's another overmatched opponent, which it likely would, being a New Zealand pay-per-view event, then it could be the best part of a year that Joseph Parker hasn't been in a meaningful fight. Dillian Whyte was at end of July 2018, then it was Alexander Flores in December 2018, and if it's someone in, May or June in New Zealand, probably not going to be the sort of caliber of opponent Joseph Parker needs. The rebuild just might take longer than many people first suspected. Number 7, Alexander Povetkin holds firm at 7. And if you're wondering, on the right here, I didn't sort of go through this before, this is last month's rankings. So this is the sort of difference here, the change. So as you can see, Adam Kownacki, he's up 1. Joseph Parker, they trade places. Alexander Povetkin, he remains at number 7. He is rumoured to be fighting Alexander Usyk. There's strong rumours. I mean, it's sort of been bubbling along for a couple of months now. They may fight each other in May in the United States. And if that doesn't happen, I'm not sure who Povetkin would want to face. He seems to, at the back end of his career now, just want some big, meaningful fights. Just, test himself, put him against the best. And I think Alexander Usyk is a very good fight for both those guys. There's a lot of risk involved, but I think Usyk, even though Povetkin is one of the most decorated fighters in the last decade, with the number of wins, contender level wins he's got on his record, I think Usyk probably goes into the favourite into that fight, even though it's his first fight at heavyweight. It'll be a good fight. At number 8 is Ajit Kabiyal. He drops 2 places this month. He has a fight coming up on March 2nd versus Andrei Rudenko. He should get through that, and then hopefully he will face Otto Wallin. And Wallin himself, he does appear to have a fight coming up in April. At number 9, Kubrat Pulev. There was talks he was going to face Robert Helenius. Those broke down. Couldn't get a deal done with Helenius. He is, though, well, from what he has been said publicly, still scheduled to fight on March 23rd in Los Angeles, but it remains to be seen. I mean, that's, a month away now. Just not sure. There's no opponent. They've kind of almost left their run too late now, but he has apparently been training, so we'll see what happens. Oscar Rivas, he's also a big winner in this month's rankings. He enters the top 15. He had been just outside. He enters at 10. So he had a really good win over Bryant Jennings recently, knocked him out, and that's why he is in the top 10 now. Rivas, he is ranked across all 4 sanctioning bodies now. So Rivas has got some options, either through the WBC, IBF, WBA, or WBO. He can go a number of routes, so it remains to be seen what they will do with Rivas. Carlos Takam, he is at number 11, no fight scheduled at this point. Number 12, Tony Yoka. that is dependent on him signing up to the clean boxing program. He's currently serving a French Federation ban in France. He could have fought outside of France, but opted not to. He will come back mid-year. There's talk of a Johan Dorper fight, and Dorper has sort of said Joker needs to show him more respect, all this sort of stuff. But in my view, Johan Dorper is a faded force now. He's a good name for an up-and-comer like Joker to fight and beat, and given they're both from France, it's a good sort of passing of the torch type fight as well. And Dorper is still a name in France. There will be some interest in that fight in France. Derek Chisora, despite his recent loss to Dillian Whyte, remains in the top 15. He is at number 13. And the reason why I mention that is the guy who was at 14th last month, Bryant Jennings, he's out of the rankings altogether. He was at 14th, and he's replaced by Charles Martin, who falls one spot this month. And there's been a bit of shuffling in the WBC rankings this month, either one up or two down, minimal ranking changes. But Bryant Jennings, he is out altogether. Rivas is the guy that effectively leapfrogs him into the 15th to 10th. And at 15th, rounding out the top 15, is Russian sort of fringe contender Sergey Kuzmin, who is scheduled to have a fight coming up soon. TBA on the opponent, but Kuzmin, he could have a big year. He's been flying under the radar. I'm expecting a big year for Sergey Kuzmin. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.